to the 10K project. Don't forget to put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. Again, throw your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. The conversation tonight is all about leveling up and starting your business. And this is actually our member highlight section. We have two of our members here today. Unfortunately, Tawana is not able to join us today or tomorrow. So you all will see me tomorrow for the Bet on Black pitch as well. But wanted to invite all of you here today. The way that our sessions usually work, and we actually put this on recording. Okay, so welcome to the 10K project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. Again, this is our member highlights section. Conversation tonight is all about leveling up your business. Leveling up and starting your business. We have two of our members here today to talk about how they did just that and what they're doing. Everybody throw your city and state in the chat so we are able to recognize you. We've got Georgia in the house. We got New York. We've got Alabama, Detroit, Georgia, another Georgia. We got Washington in the house. We've got Oregon, Seattle, another New York in the house. Glad to see everybody. If you are in YouTube, don't forget to give us a thumbs up the video to everybody in YouTube. And don't forget to tell us what city and state you're coming from. I can see in YouTube as well. Okay, so the way that tonight is going to work is I take about the first 10 minutes, 12 minutes, to tell you a little bit about the 10K project. And then I'm going to bring up our guest in order to talk about what they are doing, how they started their businesses, how they're growing them and expanding them. You all are able to ask questions, and we can have a good time today talking about building Black wealth. So if you're new to the 10K project, I'm Cherie. I'm the CEO of the organization. I'm going to do something really quick and share my screen here just because it's easier to give you our presentation here. We focus at the 10K project on building Black wealth. And one of the ways that we do that is by investing in Black businesses. So what does that mean? If you look at rich people, a lot of them have something called family offices. And a family office is a place where they go in order to get tax savings as well as invest. And this was sent to me a while ago. And when we look at how the rich invest, they put 27% of their money into real estate, 25% into public equities. That's like stock, Nike, Home Depot, things like that. And then they put 22% in something called private equity. And you may be asking, well, what is private equity? It's basically investing in startup and growing businesses that are not on the public exchanges. And the way that the rich get richer is that they would invest in a Facebook or a Coinbase or something like that when it is starting. And then as the company grows, they are able to cash out and participate in the profits of those companies. Well, we're, first of all, able to do the same thing, similar to the most famous private investors out there. Does anyone know what this is? Put in the chat if you recognize these people. Who are these people? Put in the chat so we can see. The sharks, exactly. Shark Tank, the sharks. So Shark Tank is the exact same thing. They do something that's private investment. And we're able to do the same, but we don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. We can do it with as little as $100. So the 10K project is Black Shark Tank meets Powernomics. And the way that we're able to do this legally is through something called the Jobs Act of 2012. So before 2012, we as regular everyday people were not allowed to invest in these types of investments. We are called, most of us are called unaccredited investors. Fancy term, all it means is that you're regular everyday person, you have a net worth of less than $1 million, excluding your primary home, or you make less than $200,000 a year as a single person, or $300,000 a year as a married couple. Before 2012, you were not able to do these types of investments. However, with the Jobs Act of 2012, it allowed everyday people like you and I to invest in private companies like the rich do. The fancy term for it is called equity crowdfunding. And all equity crowdfunding is a bunch of people putting money together in order to help fund a business in exchange for equity or shares or partial ownership of that business. So how does equity crowdfunding work at the 10K project? It's super simple. Every week, entrepreneurs are able to raise anywhere from $10,000 to $5 million by law. And these investments are governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA. And then every week, we feature a Black-owned business that comes and they do something called a Bet on Black pitch, similar to a Shark Tank style pitch where they will come, they will talk about their business, and then you as the investors get to ask that founder questions. And then you're also able to do your own due diligence, your own research, look at their business plan, look at the documents they filed with the SEC, and you get to decide as an individual if you want to invest in that company and add it to your portfolio. Then if the company makes it big, the crowd of investors get to share in the profits, and if not, the investors lose only the money that they have put into the company. So that is how equity crowdfunding works. And the 10K project idea came about because I started saying to people, if 10,000 people came together and each of us put just $100 into a business, we invested that money into a business, that's $1 million. We can fund our own companies, we can profit from our own innovation, we can create jobs in the community, and we can work together to build Black wealth. So where Powernomics comes in, because we talked about 10K project as Black Shark Tank meets Powernomics, is we have entrepreneurs that are raising money. We have investors that come in and invest in those companies. But usually, let's say the entrepreneur raises $1 million. Usually he or she is raising that money for a purpose. And oftentimes it is to hire people. If they've raised money from the community, then can they hire from the community as well? We believe the answer is yes, because there's a lot of great hidden talent in our community. All of us would agree to that. Whether it's project managers, chief revenue officers, construction people, all sorts of people that are available through this collective organization. So we have an expert directory that any member can add themselves to, and you're able to tell the community what it is you do. And then as entrepreneurs need you, they can find you for full-time work, part-time work, contract work, et cetera, gigs. And also other investors can find you as well if they need assistance. So you're able to become a member. We have 2 levels of membership. The gold membership is a one-time payment of $100. You get to participate in the Bet on Black pitch. You also get to see our wealth building webinars. A lot of them are on replay, and we're going to actually be dropping a couple of additional wealth building webinars per week, starting in the next couple of months. And you get to add your information to the expert directory. And then if you want some customized financial planning, we have a partnership and a relationship with Freeman Capital They are a Black-owned certified financial planning group. They do a 6-month one-on-one customized financial plan and coaching session with you. Actually, you can contact them every day throughout the 6 months if you want, or you can contact them once a month in order to do checkups. But these are customized where they find out what your goals are, where you are today, how do you get to where you want to be, and they actually work with you and put things in place so that you are able to reach your financial goals. So that is $347, again, one-time payment. You can come to the10kproject.com, the10kproject.com in order to participate in either of those or on either of those levels. And I also want to, I'm going to stop my share here and start it up again. If you are already a member and you want to upgrade, all you do is come to the Knowledge Center. You go to My Account here. You'll see your face there, and you'll see at the bottom of the screen here where it says Upgrade to Platinum Membership, and you're able to do that there. So we have someone here, Talisha, saying the financial planning offer is fantastic value. I found it very worthwhile. Thank you, Talisha. We have more people coming in as well, so we're very excited to have all of you here today. So the Bet on Black pitch tomorrow night is a company that is, how do I say it? Oh, they are leveraging a specific piece of real estate creatively. Let's just say it like that. They're leveraging a specific piece of real estate creatively, and they are in the tech space as well. So you all won't want to miss it. You'll definitely want to be there as we speak with these founders. It's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you cannot attend any of the Bet on Black pitches, you are able to get them a few different ways. Number one, we send out the current week's replay like 4 times during the week by email. And then number 2, every Monday and Thursday, we send out a listing of all of the open Bet on Black campaigns. So if you join today, you can start building your portfolio of companies that are part of your equity crowdfunding investment portfolio. Talisha, did I miss anything? I'm used to asking Tawana if I missed anything. While Talisha's answering me, the real estate mastermind is probably going to start in May. It's going to be a good one. The challenge with attending Bob's. Okay, yeah. So thank you, Talisha. So with regards to the real estate mastermind, that is probably going to start in May. That is going to be a good one. We had an email exchange the latter part of last week, and then today again with the person leading up that real estate mastermind. So if you've been wanting to get into real estate investing, hold on, because that is definitely coming. I see Latrice and Jackie in YouTube. Thank you so much, ladies. And don't forget to like the video, everybody, in YouTube. See everybody in Facebook and on Twitter as well. So I want to say hello to all of you. So Talisha reminded me about the challenge with attending the Bet on Black pitches. So if you attend the Bet on Black pitch live, you are put into a drawing to win $100 cash or an upgrade to your gold membership, so you can upgrade to platinum membership. And the way that it works is everybody that attends during the month of March, you get into the drawing. If you attend all 4 sessions during March, your name is included 4 times. And then we pull a name the first week in April, and you must be there to attend. Sorry, you must be there live to win your prize. So we've done this for the past 2 months. It's been super successful. And it is our way of rewarding people who actually attend the live sessions, because that's how we get more of our questions answered and we get more interaction with the founders, so that everyone can feel like they're making smarter investments. So with that, I ended up at 6:13. This is perfect. So I'm right on time with introducing our session of the day. Put a 1 in the chat if you already own a business. Put a 2 in the chat if you are thinking of starting a business. Put a 3 in the chat if you are just here to lurk. Y'all know I love my lurkers. Okay, so I see a lot of 2s, a lot of people that are thinking of starting businesses. This is great. Fantastic. Well, you're in the right place. Today's session, again, is all about leveling up and starting your business. And we do our member highlights, where we highlight at least 2 members that are doing things that are interesting and cool. And I always try to find people who are doing something similar enough that the topic is cohesive. And Anne and Joe came to me, and they're doing a couple of interesting things with regards to entrepreneurship. So Anne sent me an email saying that during the pandemic, that she was inspired to start her business. And it's a life coaching business, if I remember correctly, Anne, right?
I'm actually a leadership and career coach.
Yes. Leadership and career coach, even better, because then we can talk about leveling up your careers as well. But I really like hearing from people who took the pandemic, took that time. It was crazy, it was chaotic. We didn't know how long it was going to last. And you actually did something with it, whether you lost weight or you developed a stronger relationship with family and friends, or you started a business. So with that, Anne, I wanted you to take about 5 minutes, talk about your process of actually starting your business, how you decided to start your leadership coaching and career coaching. Like, how did you actually decide that that was going to be your business, and how did you get set up and all of that? And then we'll just kind of talk a little bit more from there.
Great. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on tonight. So my name is Deanne Stewart, and I'm no, that's okay. People do it all the time. No worries. And I'm a leadership and career coach, and I partner with ambitious individuals to achieve their goals by removing procrastination, distraction, and doubt. We've each responded to the turbulence of the past 2 years differently. For many, it reignited the remembrance of dreams that were deferred or plans not pursued, followed by those same statements or mantras of no regret, no more regret, today's the day, right? For me, it's been a compelling reminder to focus on the people and the interests that bring me the most joy and what's primary to me. Now, my sons will always be my 2 greatest points of pride, joy, and focus. But my other passion is coaching and partnering with others along their journey of personal development and discovery. Coaching, as many may know, is helping others to make progress towards their intentional change to achieve their ideal future. It's about moving the client from where they are, to where they want to be. And sometimes we get stuck. My goal is to partner with clients to help them to get unstuck. I've been coaching staff, colleagues, and leadership throughout my career of 25 plus years in academic healthcare. I'm actually an experienced department administrator and chief financial officer with a long history in the healthcare industry. I became a certified coach actually in 2008 to further develop my skills. And I've been really coaching people quite informally since that time at different transition points in their life. But at the start of 2021, sort of after living through 2020 and working in healthcare through that period of time, I decided to focus on the place that brought me the most passion and joy, and to launch my coaching practice. So I recertified, I took advanced classes, and I started focusing on building my business, with the mission of inspiring others to live purposefully and the vision of building a coaching business that will improve the lives of millions by helping each to actualize their individual greatness, their purpose, and empowering them to live fully so they can build legacies that uplift families, communities, and hopefully the world.
That is phenomenal. So where are you in the process now of actually like launching, accepting clients? Like where are you in that continuum?
Sure. So I started seeing clients at the end of 2020. So I'm seeing clients currently now. I finished all the coursework for the ICF credentialing, which is, it's not a regulatory body, but it's a certifying body for coaches. So I hope to sit for the exam in May. I started my LLC at probably around January, February of 2021. And so I'm a legal entity and paying taxes, et cetera. And right now for this year, for 2022, my goal is really working on visibility. So raising my hand every time there's an opportunity to get in front of an audience, like, as I'm doing tonight. I'm posting on LinkedIn. I am trying to speak in front of organizations and networking.
And
so
how do you
that's
get your
really
first clients? Because that often with consulting and with coaching, that's like people's greatest fear is,
yes.
How do I get those first few clients? How'd you do that?
I think it's planting where you are. So I started reaching out to my network. I've been in the academic field for over 25 years. I literally went through my phone book, right? And I sent an email just letting people know that I'm coaching as part of my business now, what my goals are and who my ideal client would be and what I would like to do for others. And my clients have really been all through referrals and networking.
That is great. So I don't know if I've told the 10K Project community this story. I feel like I have, but I'll share it again. My mother's a bookkeeper. And when we got started years ago, I challenged her to something called the Get 10 campaign, which was if you can get your first 10 clients, you are a viable business. And she said, okay, Cherie. She had a goal of doing it in 6 months. She ended up doing it in 3.5 months. And what we did was, because bookkeeping requires so much trust, we decided to focus on a couple of different organizations, and we went deep with those organizations. Like anytime, y'all gonna laugh. It's kind of like Kim Kardashian in the beginning of her career. I know some of you are like, but she showed up to the opening of an envelope, right? She was like, I'm going to be visible no matter what, just like Anna's saying. Yeah. Well, we looked at, there was an organization called BNI years ago. I don't know how relevant they are now, but they were a referral organization and they met weekly. And then our local chamber of commerce, like the small local chamber of commerce that had the other small businesses. And if there was an opening of an envelope, if there was any kind of committee meeting, whatever, I was there. I was a designated business development person, right? And that was how we did it too, because people kept seeing us over and over again. And one of the funny things that happened was probably 3 years after we had started that business, this lady walks up to us. We had no clue who she was. And she says, "You're the QuickBooks ladies." And we were like, I said it. I was like, job done. Because my mother's company's name was Carolyn Does QuickBooks, right? And it was just like, I know you ladies, you're the QuickBooks ladies, right? And then once she walks off, I'm like, do you know her? And my mother was like, no, I thought you knew her. We're like, no, we don't know her at all. So you want to get to that point in your business as well, where people know you for whatever it is that you do. That's my suggestion to anybody who is starting and growing a business. And then you'll grow over time as well and morph, into bigger things. So with that, I'm going to bring in Joe. So, Joe is interesting because he has a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is starting tech companies without knowing how to code, without being a technology person. Right now, we know that tech, um, you can do so much in tech. And there was a time when you had to be able to code and you had to be this hardcore technology person in order to make money in tech. And now that has totally changed. So, with that, I want to invite Joe to give us 5 minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your business, about what you teach people, et cetera, with regards to leveling up and starting their businesses.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cherie.
Mhm.
And again, hi to you, Ms. Stewart. Excuse me, a little rough throat here. Well, I'm actually from the old school, as you can see. I've been in business since 1975. And I didn't start in the tech business, although prior to going into business, I did service computer systems. So that was my initial connection with the technology world. But being in that world, I began to see other opportunities that small businesses could take advantage of. And really at the time, I didn't really see what I see today. And I think that's really why I'm here today, now that I've got some understanding and some background of things that people could do. I really would just like to share that because, as you know, our community needs more businesses of all kinds. But unfortunately, I can't maybe help and give some kind of platform or background to maybe other businesses, but I can give some help and background when you're talking about some of the different things that you could do in the technology arena, and not really be quote unquote a techie to really get that accomplished. I guess I'll start off by saying that my first foray with being in business, really I've morphed maybe 3 different times. When I first, as I said, I was working with a computer company, but when I went into business, I realized that I just did not have any kind of business background other than my father was in business, but he was in a business that I had no desire to be in. It was too much manual labor. But I did have that background, and that did help me years later. I realized how much that had helped me. But to get back to where I'm at today, my business morphed 3 different times. So I say that to people to not get stuck on something that you're doing that maybe does not quite fit the bill of where you're going. Be a little flexible and take that knowledge and maybe shift to something different. Because initially I started, because I didn't have any background in business, I started servicing microwave ovens for residential and commercial establishments. I had electronic background, so to service a microwave oven, I almost could do it with my eyes closed. So that allowed me to really learn the business side of being in business, and allowed me the chance to really morph into other things. So again, after starting the microwave business, I did that for several years. But at that same time, I was always looking at where I really wanted to be. At least I thought that's where I wanted to be initially. And that was in the process of servicing major computer systems. That's really what I thought I wanted to do. So I really invested my time into that. But along that way, at one point I had, I guess, about 5 employees, and I have to give them kudos because I think they really worked very well for a young Black guy, being also young Black people working for me. So I really was blessed with that. But they did have this one problem that I just could not seem to resolve, and that was that they were all on what we call CP time. So And I don't care what I did, if I was a nice guy and tried to explain to them the virtues of coming on time, or whether I jumped up on the desk and stomped up and down and said, you're just gonna be here. Whatever I did just didn't work. So finally I said, well, what I'm gonna have to do is whatever hours you work, that's the hours I'm gonna pay you for. I said, that'll get him, that'll get him. But it didn't get him. And what ended up happening, it really initially was a burden for me, because what I was doing with my payroll is everybody worked 40 hours. So I was just transferring the figures over to the new week and keeping up with my paperwork that way, because nothing changed. But when I told them that I was going to do it just for the hours that they worked, now I had, and because they didn't follow through, I had to follow through on what I said. So now I'm doing payroll for everybody, because everybody's payroll was different. And it hit me. I said, which is, a computer should be able to do this. And with my background, I said, yeah, all I need is a computer. That took quite a bit, because at the time I bought an Apple IIe and a printer, and that was $4,500. So somehow now I got that. But once I got the computer, I realized, I said, nah, where's this payroll software? It didn't come with the computer. The only thing that came with the computer was a programming manual. And that was really my launch into the career of computer programming, because I had to, now I had to write this program for payroll. And the thing that I had to my advantage was I knew how to do the payroll with paper and pencil. So now my thought was, well, if I can teach the computer to add and subtract for me, I got it made. Well, that's a little easier said than done, but I did do it. So that turned out to be my first application that I actually wrote, was a payroll and time clock package, because what I needed it to do was allow them to clock into the computer and then let the computer do the payroll. So anyway, that allowed me to begin to see that being able to have tools that could help our small businesses do things that they would have to pay someone else quite a bit of money if to let them do it. So that was my impetus to really get involved and kind of dig into this thing called computer programming. And over the years, I've created several packages. Maybe my claim to fame was I wrote a complete electronic medical record for doctor offices and those that actually work in the ambulatory marketplace. So what I've learned over the years is some of the things that I'd like to share in terms of even different opportunities. Now, what I'd like to take a second or two and just briefly run through, at least list some of the businesses that I saw as I was developing what I was doing, that I know with maybe a little coaching from someone, they could do it as well, because there's really not a lot of tech behind it. It's more sweat equity than anything else. And some of these businesses are, I'll just run it through a few, an online payroll service. Now that might sound, well, I don't know anything about payroll. Well, nowadays, if you've got the right software, you don't really need to know. You just need to know how to use that package. So an online payroll service for some of our small businesses that just don't have the to try to do payroll, but are willing to pay some of these other payroll services a great chunk of their money, this could be a good opportunity for someone to get that business. Medical billing. That's another scenario that people could actually get into, again, because the software is sophisticated to the point, and I'll give myself a plug, in particular, the application that I have is really designed, you really only need to know two things. What was the doctor's diagnosis code for the program, and what was the procedure code? Everything else the system will do for you. So being in the medical billing program, if you can get a doctor, because that's always a challenge, but if you can get a doctor, you could get into that business very easy. And certainly I could support you with that. Another thing is a small independent computer store. Anytime I want something, it's 50 miles round trip for me to get to one of the major computer stores because I know that's what they're going to have what I want. But that's because it's a desert in the city for computer stores, just something as simple as that. And my recommendation there is if you're going to get into a store, a retail environment, look at the reconditioned market in particular. Manufacturers reconditioned computers. I buy them all the time because I can buy 3 for the price of one new one. So and they last quite a while. If you look at my background, you can see that they'll hang out, they'll hang in there with you. So computer store for the right person could be helpful. There's this thing called a medical claims clearinghouse. Now that's a little bit more sophisticated, but if you knew some medical billers to be your clients, you could be in that business. And a clearinghouse is basically an entity that electronically accepts claims from every which and where, and then puts them together and sends them to the actual insurance companies where the claims go. I had to create my own because the people wouldn't let me in. So I say that to only say that I'm willing to share that knowledge with others, that if you've got the wherewithal, you could get into that business. There's no real dollar amount. It's just, do you know some medical billers to get to use your service? There's another thing called educational planning seminar or seminar planner. I know I would love to have someone that plans seminars where I could participate and bring the content, but I'm not in the business of trying to put them on. If I knew some people that was really doing that, I think a lot of businesses might take advantage of that because that would get them in front of people that they need to be in front of. And seminars is something that people that usually go to them are reasonably serious about whatever it is they went to that seminar for. So that I would love to see some people I know in that particular arena. Another thing is called, very simple, remote data backup. People don't think about it, but if you're dealing with computers, you better have a backup because things do go wrong. And this is not, when you lose your business data, it's not like losing Candy Crush or something. You're in deep trouble if you lose that business data. So you really need a backup. And that is a business that people could be in very easily because people are streaming data all the time. And to be a remote backup is nothing more than just streaming data. And the thing about that is you could be a backup with a computer in your basement. As long as you got an internet connection and someone to show you how to set it up, it's really not that big a deal. But then you could offer that services for those small businesses that need the backup, but don't need that pricey price tag to get it done. So that's another opportunity. And finally, I'll just mention what's called a value-added reseller. And that's a person who really is already in business doing some things, but they're always looking for another product to put in their portfolio. Selling application software that small businesses can use is something that people could look at if they could get the commission to actually market that software. And I will just say that Cherie is a bit of a competitor of mine because I've got an application out there that I market called Quick and Easy, which is something that I've designed really to be for those businesses that are really just starting out and really don't need a big complicated system, but something that will keep their financials together and grow as they grow. And because I'm a developer, we can add different things on if you think you need that in your system. But my application is chock full of things right now that gives you, allows you the playing field to be pretty adequate when you're dealing with comparing yourself to larger companies and their ability and their computing power. So that's kind of me. And what I will say is if we have time, want to know more about some of the things I've said, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, so, thank you, Joe, for giving that great instructive list for people. And I will say there are a million and one ways for people to make money. One of the big things I suggest is choose one, get into it, study. You're going to get bumps and bruises no matter what you get into. So, sometimes people get analysis paralysis so much that they never get started. I'm a big fan of get started, fail quickly, don't spend a lot of money failing. That is one thing I will say. I try not to get into anything that costs me more than $2,000 to get into, and I can figure out if it's something that's going to work for me or not. But depending on the kind of business you're in, like if you're like Joe suggested, a retail establishment for refurbishment of computers. Like I have 2 computers at my house that are just sitting there, and I don't want to take them to just any old place to destroy them. I want to take it someplace trusted, but I don't have any place trusted in my area, right? So, the other thing I will say, and Joe didn't mention this, but we do spend a bit of money on, because my mother has a business at home, repair, like computer repair services, like when you go to people's home offices that have small businesses, they desperately need their computers to work. And we know a couple of people that have that as a business, and they remote in to the computer, to fix things. And then they also remote in to add in the spyware as it's updated and things like that. So that's like another major business that people can get into. Is anyone familiar with Donnie Deutsch? He's on MSNBC now. Is anyone familiar with Donnie Deutsch? Okay, people are saying they are. Good. Donnie Deutsch is a gentleman who right now he talks about politics, but he used to have a show on CNBC. I forgot the name of it, but I'm sure if you looked on YouTube, you could find the old videos. And one of the things that he said as Joe was talking, it kind of reminded me of this, is solve the problem that's affecting your life. Because if it's affecting your life, it's probably affecting others' lives as well. And what Donnie Deutsch used to say was, there's got to be a better way. So if there's something that's really frustrating you and you're looking for a product to solve it and you can't find a problem to solve it, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way for me to do X, right? Like Joe said, for me to take care of this payroll, right? There's got to be a better way for Black entrepreneurs to raise money, right? That was how the 10K project got started, because I got tired of my Black entrepreneurs having the toughest time and me seeing 1 million+ Black people like, we want to buy Black. And I'm like, well, if you're buying Black, let's invest Black too, right? So Kevin is saying, I don't have the cure for crazy. Oh, he was a little insane. The big idea. Big idea. That's what it was, Kevin, was the name of Donnie's program. But yeah, that's another thing as well. If you're looking for a business idea, is kind of look at what you would like to see in the marketplace, that not only you have a problem with it, but other people around you are having the same problem, and definitely create that. We have a couple of questions here for Joe. So we're going to start with you first, Joe. Kevin is asking, OneDrive and Google Drive are examples of services that offer backup services. How does your offer for backup services compete with those? And what is your niche in that regard that has a competitive advantage above the other offerers?
Well, basically, the backup service that I'm referring to is the same backup service that they offer. My suggestion is, if they can do it, why not you? It's a matter of you getting your clients And again, it's something that does not require any real powerful equipment. Most computers, even the reconditioned ones, can handle the stream of data coming in, especially data that's not a movie, because that takes up a lot of bandwidth. But data coming from a person's office, backing up their files, that kind of data is not that large, and it could be handled by someone that set up a streaming from that person's office to wherever your backup computers are. So that could happen. So yes, you could be a OneDrive, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know if you can answer this, Joe, but Kevin is asking, what no-code applications are used in the metaverse? Are you familiar with the metaverse? And
Well, I'm not sure what he's referring to as metaverse. Everybody's got a different definition, maybe, of what that is. But what no code is something that, unfortunately, it's not a very good tool for our small businesses. And the reason I say that is because the no code and no code scenarios are, let's say, people that might work in a large corporation, that they want some data from their mainframe that the mainframe already had all the time, but they couldn't get to it. So this no code, no low code scenario came up where they made it simpler for people, novices, to query the system that you already had, meaning query the mainframe. So if you don't have a mainframe to query from, that no code scenario really doesn't play that well in terms of what most people are doing. So no code requires you to already have a back-end computer system that you're drawing data from. I
yeah,
hope that
so I
answered your
put that
question.
in there for Talisha as well. Talisha's more familiar with the metaverse, and she'll probably, she's saying currently there are no code applications at this time. I didn't think there was either. I know that there is some progression with regards to the NFTs, and a company like OpenSea, for example, if you want to create and sell your NFTs, you're able to do that on that platform. And there are other NFT marketplaces as well, where you're able to do that a lot more easily. And I know that there are places where you're able to develop and sell your crypto as well, if you want to have your own coins, but the metaverse is still very new. So Tammy has another question for Joe here, or has a question for Joe here, I'm sorry. What if malware gets into my client's system? Will the malware get into the backup system as well?
Well, the potential for that is there, but it just necessarily means what you have on your end to filter that data coming through. Generally, data is not capped or stolen in transit. It's usually stolen once it's sitting on someone's server and they haven't protected it properly. So that's usually where the problem comes in.
Leanne, Joe had done a great job of listing some of the opportunities for people who want to get into tech. I know that there's different types of coaching that people can do. So let's say somebody wants to start a coaching business. What's some of the ideas that you would have for people with regards to the different types of coaching and consulting that they can do?
Sure. And I think it's as you said, it's what problems do you see in the world that you'd like to fix, or problems that you're facing? There are all types of coaches. So it really depends on what speaks to you. But what I would say is to look into a ICF credentialed program and sort of register and get started. I think it is all about taking action. If you want to do something, if you want to make a change, it's about moving to action, because ideas are fantastic, but where are you going with that?
Yeah.
So I think there's there are tons of opportunities. I believe the numbers are 23,000 coaches in the US, 71,000 worldwide. It's a growing area, especially now, because so many people are thinking of change.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so I've seen, for example, let's just take financial coaches. I've seen some people who are financial coaches that just focus on helping you get out of debt, right?
That's right.
I've seen some financial coaches that just focus on helping you get into investments, for example. Then I've seen some financial coaches that just focus on helping you buy stock or get into Forex or, whatever. So people are starting to now become very niche.
That's what I was going to say. You should niche down.
Niche
Absolutely.
down.
Mm-hmm.
For career coaches, I've seen the overall career coaches, like I'll help, with your resume and just
Right.
overall figure out what you want to do. I've seen coaches that just focus on helping you get your first job. So they focus on kids getting out of high school, kids getting out of college. I've seen career coaches for like the after 40, after 50 mom returning to work.
Transition. That's
And
right.
yes, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen the career coaches for the transition. Exactly.
Right.
I've
Right.
seen career coaches specifically for military veterans that are moving out of the service
Mm-hmm.
because they have specific needs. So again, when you're thinking about these things, don't be afraid to niche either, because then you can really target. Another one that I wanted to mention was life coaching. A lot of people don't think about this, but there are people who have transitions in their lives. One of the most successful coaches I came across, I didn't really know her, but I was in her sphere. She Her story was that she was married to this man for many years. She rolls over in bed one morning and he's laying dead beside her. And she went through that grief process and she came off over on the other side. And she became a life coach to help people through like devastating loss or traumatic experiences,
Yeah.
death of a child, death of a spouse, a parent, you know, severe illness, things like that. Now, for me, I could never do that because I think I'm more of an empath. I'm too empathic for something like I wouldn't want to be listening to that all day, but she was able to do it. And if you're thinking, where am I going to go? I don't want to go to a psychiatrist. And, life coaching is a little bit different than just psychiatry and things like that. It really is about helping you, get past zero.
Right.
She was making $1 million in the 90s doing this when $1 million was a lot of money today, but back then, right, it was a whole lot of money. So with coaching and consulting, there's all sorts of things you could do. Deanne, I don't know if you do anything on the corporate side, like you sell your service to corporations.
Correct.
There are some people who sell their services to corporations and others that do it for consumers.
Absolutely. I've been networking with hospital systems because there's certainly significant issues around retention and recruitment right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, being able to offer those services, coaching the executives, there is a 25 to 40% of Fortune 500s are using coaches for their executive level and for those who are high performers. It's a means to develop your teams, but also to retain them. I've actually started what's called an emerging leaders group, where people who are preparing for C-suite leadership in years to come, preparing them for that as well. So there's definitely work in the corporate sector as well. But niching down is so important. And I'll tell you, most coaches go into an area that speaks to them in the sense of it's been part of their own journey. So all those examples you've given is exactly usually where they end up.
Yeah. So with that, I don't see any other questions. I'm looking here on YouTube. Latrice is saying great suggestions. Thank you, Latrice. I see hearts. I see Facebook. I see thumbs up. Thank you to everybody here. Everybody in YouTube, don't forget to thumbs up the video. Thumbs up, thumbs up. We've got 14 people watching and 8 likes. So please thumbs up because it helps us get into the algorithms even more. So if you were to, oh, actually, I'll ask a question to the audience here. People who put the twos in the audience, you're thinking of starting a business. What types of businesses are you thinking of starting? And is anything that Deanne or Joe said tonight kind of triggering you to kind of do more research with regards to another area of business and opportunity that's out there? What kind of businesses are you all thinking of starting? And in YouTube, you can answer as well, because I can see you all. We've got mobile application here. A mobile app can do all sorts of stuff. Anybody else? People may be listening while they're cooking dinner, so we're still answering. Life coaching sounds good. A book packaging brand, book packaging brand. Very interesting. Yeah. So, oh, we have a question here. Oh, sorry. Beulah is saying youth construction and airport accessing. Youth construction is, I mean, talk about needed in the community, being able to teach the kids trades. A few months ago, I'm sure Beulah, you were here for that. We had a gentleman come in, one of our members, and within his church, he teaches them how to do rehabbing of houses and things like that, so they're able to get real construction experience. So Michelle is saying purchasing real estate. Great. Construction and design. I see that in YouTube. Perfect. Perfect. So, well, why don't we do this? I'm going to let both of you kind of wrap up. Final things that you want people to know, you want people to think about as they're thinking about starting their businesses, leveling up, you know, something maybe that they would want to take as an assignment in order to do that over the next couple of days. Joe, what say you?
Okay, well, thank you. You know, I did fail to mention a couple of things regarding the healthcare industry. That industry, from my perspective, is growing, in particular for opportunities for independents to do a lot of things in that arena. As an example, non-medical transportation. The industry, Medicare, Medicaid, they're ramping up to figure out ways to deal with the growing population that's going to need transport. So that particular industry seems to be opening up. And I think by the middle of the end of this year, you'll see a lot of that. Also, community health workers. That's something that you may have heard the term, but again, they're looking at changing the scope of community health workers and putting them more in a prominent independent position to do certain things, I will say quasi-clinical, that they weren't able to do before. That's coming down the pike. Finally, I'd be amiss if I didn't mention for people, CDC has an opportunity out there called the Diabetes Prevention Program. And that program is designed to help people that are in a pre-diabetic state keep from going into full-blown diabetes. So to make a long story short, they developed a program which are classes to get people in a pre-diabetic state to go to these classes. And they're using independent businesses and organizations that would like to put these classes on. CDC already has a curriculum. You don't have to be clinical to do this. You just have to have a business and meet some qualifications that they offer, which are not extensive. But if anyone wanted to Google Diabetes Prevention Program and see what CDC has to offer, and the reason I mention it is that they pay for, let's say, Medicare members. If the Medicare member goes to that class, CDC or Medicare will pay that organization for that member. And you can hold as many classes as you want. You do have to meet their standards, but but I know you can, because those are some of the things that I do with the data processing that makes the job very easy in terms of reporting. But those are opportunities that are there for people to take advantage of.
Perfect. And see, Terrell is saying seminar planning is a good idea. Yeah, that is definitely a good idea. Creating courses is a great idea as well. Absolutely. I had a project to do earlier today, and for the elderly, there are between now and 2050, they're expecting 20% of our US population to be the elderly. So they have a need of an additional 2 million assisted living facility beds. I'm not telling people to get into the ALF game. I'm just saying that, that is a need. But when Joe mentioned the medical or non-medical transportation services, that is very much needed in any and all of the elder care services are very much needed. It's going to be needed for the next 20 years minimum. So before you go, Deanne, someone has a great question here. Any tips you can share about how to finance, budget, plan for business launch would be great. I have a ton to say about that, but Deanne, I'm going to actually toss that over to you. What kind of tips can you share about financing, planning, and budgeting for a business launch?
So I think it would be really great to work with someone who may be a financial coach to lay out what your 5-year plan is so that you know what you're moving towards before you launch and have a target. I think there are tons of expertise out there as well as software that I'm sure Joe could share to start some of that planning, but just really getting clear about what you want and mapping things out, I think is the first part of it. And then speaking to someone with some expertise in budgeting and planning to help you to get to your goal.
So I'm going to throw the Molotov cocktail in here for this. Because I get a lot of calls from people who are starting what I'm going to call simple businesses that don't require a lot of capital to get started. For example, you are an organizer, you are a coach, you are, doing something that really is not like a retail space or something like that that requires a lot of capital. And you tell me I need $50,000 to get started. And I'm like, for what? So being realistic and like asking myself, if this doesn't require a lot of money to get started, then maybe I put aside a couple $1,000s. I had a friend years ago who started a home organizing business. She would come in on a day and she would organize any single room in your home. She started with flyers. She went around her neighborhood, put the flyers up, made $5,000 in the first month of business. Some of you just need whatever today's version of flyers is, because this was in the early 2000s, right? Some of you just need to get started with a YouTube page or, a Facebook, and starting to reach out to people and starting to get the word out there. Sometimes I think people overdo it with the budgeting and the planning. If it doesn't take a lot of money for you to get started and you're able to pivot easily. Joe, you want to answer that question?
Well, I don't want to answer that. I'm agreeing with it totally. It doesn't. It reminded me quickly of my son. After getting out of high school, he didn't have anything to do and he couldn't find a job. And I told him, I said, well, put out some flyers, because what he was doing was, I was giving him a couple bucks to shovel my snow. So I said, we'll put out some flyers and just see. And he did that. And I know he didn't put out many because he printed them on my computer. So I know how many flyers he had. He probably had a couple hundred that he finally distributed out. And that guy was beginning to get calls to come, because he had a great deal, $5 to shovel your front walk and down your steps. And those people were calling him like crazy. The only reason he couldn't keep it up is because I was driving him around with the snowblower to do it, and I just didn't have time to keep up doing that. But that can work. Something very simple, does not cost a lot of money. So look into it. Put on your thinking cap, people, and figure out something that you can use your sweat equity in to get a foundation. And then once you know what you're doing, more people are more apt to invest in what you're doing.
Yeah. So Deanne, final comments from you about today and anything you want to leave the family.
Sure. So I just wanted to share 3 quick keys to goal planning and to start thinking about things. The first I always say is to get clear and to name it. You need to get in touch with what you envision and what you want to create in your life, right? And then you need to understand your why. So develop your why. How will you feel when your wants and desires are fulfilled? Feel the possibilities and start to build the desires for yourself. And then question your why not. What's kept you from making the changes so far? What are you struggling with? What blocks and obstacles are keeping you from moving forward? But start to think about these things and take action, right? Because living small does not serve you and it does not serve the world.
I love it. I love it. So thank you everybody for participating in tonight's session. Put an exclamation point in the chat for our members, Deanne and Joe. Let them see your love, your encouragement, things like that. Someone is asking here, do you see post-COVID opportunities? Everywhere. Everywhere. Hybrid work is going to be the new thing for a while. I believe a lot more parents are choosing to do homeschooling of their kids permanently, or at least for the next few years. We've got a new class of people that are official germaphobes forever. This is an endemic. Yes. So every October, November, the news is going, CNN is going to be harping about it. So yes, absolutely, absolutely everywhere that you go, they're trying to figure out new ways of getting people into work to come to an office. I heard a news story recently of this guy who he spent like close to $1 million, I want to say, getting like pool tables and all sorts of games and stuff like that. And he's like, come back into work. And people are like, no, thank you. So, so yeah, there are post-COVID opportunities absolutely everywhere. I hope you all are seeing all of the exclamation points and the hand claps, and we love you. Great information. YouTube and Facebook are saying it as well. I see that in here. Okay, everybody. Tomorrow night, then on Black Pitch, 8 p.m. Eastern time, you will definitely want to be in the house. This Black man has come up with a way to monetize real estate in a way that you haven't seen before through the power of technology. So all I'm going to say is be there, be square. And then next week, we have one of the people from We Buy Black coming to hang out with us, talk about what they're doing in the community. They're doing some really exciting things. So Deanne, Joe, thank you so much for being here today and for being our guest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. And how do people get in touch with you? I'm so sorry. I should have asked that as well. Deanne, what's the best way?
Sure. dstewartcoaching.com or at Deanne Stewart on Instagram.
Okay. And Joe, how do people get in touch with you?
My company is Electronic Services Technologies, area code 313-341-1821. And I did put a couple of links in the chat.
Perfect. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.